welcome to Boomhauer 69's channel. And today Boomhauer's going to do another talk video here about the vintage horseless carriage reach car that I want to build. For those of you who don't know what a horseless carriage is, that was simply a term that was used primarily mostly in the 1800s and 1900s to describe automobiles, cars and stuff, because simply horseless means not needing a team of horses to do something, basically, and a lot of cars were basically just a horse carriage with a motor on it, thus giving them the name horseless carriage. But yeah, I've been doing a ton of research online of pictures of different cars, different body designs and everything, trying to see, hey, what would I like and stuff, what would I try to build and stuff, and get an idea how something like that would look like. Because my ultimate goal is to simply build from scratch my own style of horseless carriage reach that looks like something that was made back in the 1800s and 1900s, where people would say, like, something that looks like it came out of the 1900s, and people would be like, wow, what year is that? Is that 1905 or 1902? And be like, no, it's a 2023. And then they'd be like, really? I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to go out and try to restore a Ford Model T or some old Chevy or a Packard or a Humbler or a Stanley Steamer, none of those. I don't want to do that. I'd rather build my own, try to build my own from scratch, where the body and rolling chassis would be something from the ground up, something that I did myself and nobody else would basically never thought of that idea, where nobody has ever came out with that design or anything, something where I could basically, if I had a time machine, go back in time, sell it, and go back to the 1900s and stuff in a time machine if I was a time traveler, and be able to sell it to people where they'd say, wow, and nobody could basically sue me for copyright infringements or anything like that. But yeah, and so what I've been thinking is, okay, if I'm going to build this, how would I build the body? How would I go about doing that? What kind of materials would I use and stuff? And me, I would try to not get too much like modern day materials. Like, I'd kind of stay away from like fiberglass and like plastics and stuff. I'd kind of build it like kind of how they would have had to back in the day. Like, for example, I would build the frame, like the body frame, out of like certain like types of wood, and then maybe like cover that with like types of maybe like some type of rollout, like aluminum or some type of metal, like they used to do back in the old days, where the kind of like body frame would be made out of wood, and then it would just like have metal over top of it, and stuff. Kind of do like what they kind of do with RV campers, how they just take like that rollout, like siding stuff, like rollout aluminum, and put them on the RV campers, something kind of like that on the lines and stuff, and little details like that, in my head, I would build it. Or I would probably just do like maybe a wood frame and then some thin sheets of plywood or something, depending on how I did the frame. But I'm looking at doing something aluminum, because the thing is, the type of motor I'm planning on using in this type of build would simply be something that's going to be would work, but it's got to be lightweight. So I would build something that's going to be simply lightweight, like those cars were back in the day, because I'm going to be using, in the build, motor-wise anyways, it's just simply basically a small engine. I wouldn't try to go out and design or build my own sort of engine like they had to do back in the day. I would just, in that part, under the hood, motor-wise, I'm just going to use this typical small engines you find around a lot in your typical lawn care tools, your riding lawn mowers and your push mowers and that sort of thing. Because if I was able to successfully build this idea, build a successful prototype, and then be able to market the idea, I would want to go with some sort of motor that would be simply relatively easy to get parts for, like maybe, Honda's, Briggs & Stratton, Kohler, Duramax, Tecumseh, there's a Kawasaki even, I know used to make certain types of small engines in the past, but, that sort of thing, or even the Harbor Freight Predator, I'll throw that in there as well, but, something that part's going to be relatively easy, because it would, the idea would be to, if I could, make something successful that you could street legal, but that's a whole nother ball game, but maybe more just something like an off-road, kind of more of a go-kart toy, but that's more a normal size, like that would be regular size, like they would have built back in the 1900s. I've seen go-karts before where they're like just a little I call them a Shriner car and stuff. I wouldn't build nothing like that. I'm going to try to build something that's going to be more lifelike. But that's what I was thinking about earlier today, is how would I go about body-wise and stuff, and how would I build a body, what type of material would I use. And I'm leaning more towards maybe doing some sort of like getting some light wood, do like, the frame-wise, build the frame and stuff, body frame out of wood, and then do like, maybe some sort of aluminum, like, flat aluminum metal, sheets of aluminum, like kind of how like they do for mobile home trailers and RV campers, that kind of roll out kind of aluminum stuff they have out there nowadays and stuff. And then like frame wise, I'm simply just gonna do, again, a typical, for like the main like chassis frame, do something that's gonna be lightweight again, because the thing is the motors I talked about using, you gotta build it. I would have to build a thing pretty lightweight for them to be able to have enough, to give it enough power to be able to move it and stuff. Because basically, those motors, if you're using typical lawnmower small engines, some of them can only handle so much weight and stuff, so you have to keep that in mind. The body's got to be light enough for the motor to be able to move the thing, and then on top of that, you also got to take in the factor. If you get somebody like me, a big guy, and two big guys in there, is the thing going to move, maximum weight capacity too. You got to take that into consideration depending on what type of motor you're going to use. Like me, I'm going to be using a lot of small engines, and some of them only have a certain amount of maximum weight capacity, so we have to take that in consideration. So basically my goal would be I'm kind of leaning more towards maybe looking at like doing like they did back in the old days, like a cycle car. I really like the looks and idea how they built the Trumbo cycle car. I did a video about that. I'll put links in the description about the history of the Trumbo cycle car. But I really like how the Trumbo cycle cars are really kind of small, compact, little bugger. And I thought if I had that today, that would be perfect for my idea. Now, granted, that's not, if I could recreate that car, it wouldn't be, my own design, because somebody else obviously designed it before me, but that car would be a neat one to try to basically kind of like copycat a little bit, because I'm looking at how cars look like. That's my biggest thing, is when I'm not having the camera on making YouTube videos, I'm over here doing research all the time, even at my work, on my break. I'm always looking at vintage cars and stuff on the internet, looking at pictures, videos and stuff, and trying to get a good mental image of what cars look like back in those days. So when I build my idea, I'll have the money and the means to, and can find the right people. I know what I'm looking at and what I want, and so that way people, it'll be less, stressful than on me and other people that get involved in this idea and stuff. Because my goal is to make something that's basically in the year 2020, but looks like something that was most likely built back in those days, where you really couldn't tell the difference besides a few little like modern upgrades like the small engine, and yes, I'm going to add modern day electrical lighting. I'm not going to try to do carbine acetylene torch lamps like they did, or nothing like that, because my idea would be marketing this idea so there would be a few modern day features to this thing to make it easier on like the consumer if I was able to successfully market this idea and bring it to the market and stuff. Because, for example, like hand cranks. A lot of these small engine companies years ago did away with the hand crank, and they don't do hand cranks no more. It's mostly just pull start, or if you're lucky, electric battery start. So that's the thing I would be doing, like pull start style motors, or electric if the motor that I go with has an electric turnkey electric starter, ignition starter, then I'll go with that as well, which if I did, I'd run them like the Duramaxes. A lot of Duramaxes have where they have both options where you can hook up a battery and do electric start or pull start as well. So I would probably I'm kind of leaning towards something like that where you have best of both worlds. So if there's somebody out, off-roading out in the middle of the woods or in a field or something with the product, and you're setting there, your battery's dead and you can't turn the key to get it back started, you still have that option of pulling the recoil pull cord and getting it started that way as well. So I'd want kind of best of both worlds, like the old cars have. A lot of old cars back in the day, in the 1900s, when electric start came out, you could still crank them by hand if your battery was dead, and I really like that idea. But the only thing is, nowadays, there's really no small engines out there that have a special hand crank ignition. It's all pull cord. So in that respect, I would have a pull cord and electric start, on certain model stuff. And I not just want to make one type of horseless carriage automobile. I'd want to build kind of like maybe several designs and ideas, like something like build something that's kind of similar on the lines of the curved dash Oldsmobile and stuff, and some would have certain modern day features and others wouldn't, like who knows, maybe make one that has simply, a radio in it, while others don't, and different modern day features, One of the things I would definitely make probably standard on all of them is obviously the lighting system, your lights and stuff, brake lights, turn signal lights, make that standard on all the models I would build. And then, of course, seat belts, because nowadays everything's practically requires seat belts. I and definitely too, and I haven't done this yet, but I am going to be looking into it more closer down the futures. Also look at, in my state at least, and at the federal level, what is considered street legal and what is considered ORV, off-road vehicle, for like trail use and that sort of thing. What would this be categorized as, and most likely it would be more categorized in the off-road sector of stuff, obviously, like be in the same probably category as like maybe a go-kart, golf cart, dune buggy, well, not dune buggies, because some dune buggies are street legal, but like go-karts and quads and dirt bikes and that sort of thing and stuff, Basically, I would, in a way, be basically kind of, in some way, I guess you call it, building like an adult-sized go-kart that looks like a car from the 1800s, or 1900s, thereabout, and stuff, Because basically, I'm going to try to build something that's from like the late 1800s from all the way up to about 1920 in that time frame there about, you know, is what kind of designs I'm going to go for and stuff. I'm not going to really try to build something that's going to be like 20s or after, because if I was going to try to build a car basically that's like looks like something that came from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s or something like that, then I might as well just try my hand at building an actual modern day like type of small engine car or something, which I even thought about that as well too, but that would be a whole nother down the line. First, I'm gonna more focus on making this like horseless carriage idea, and that's one of the things I think about all the time is how would I do the body, and basically I'm leaning more towards maybe doing like a kind of like almost like a wood frame type situation with some sort of like maybe like roll out thin aluminum like they use on campers and stuff, that sort of kind of material, you know, possibly for that. Because again, the idea is to try to figure out how to make the body itself light as possible, because that's when the key importance is weight is everything. Because if it weighs too much, and then you put a rider in it or a couple riders in it, and you go turn the motor over, yeah, the motor might run in idle, but will it move? Probably not if the motor thinks the body and everything is too heavy. So you have to build it super lightweight, like they did them old cars back in the day, you know. A lot of them old cars back in the day, you could just, one guy, two hands, if it got stuck, you could easily push it out of whatever you were stuck in and be back on the road and stuff, and that's what I would try to do and stuff. So it's figuring out what way would be best to make the body at least lightweight. And right now, that's what I'm more kind of focused on, is how would I build the body, what kind of design, how would it be, you know. The thing is right now I got it kind of pictured in my head, and I know that if I was able to do it, what it would look like probably in reality would probably not what it looked like in my head. So that's why my goal would be is to try to find like maybe some sort of engineer or somebody down the line that could help me when I have the funds to do so, figure this all out and say, okay, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. Here's a car that's already been built, and here's what I'm kind of thinking about and stuff, and try to, you know, and try to make something that, you know, looks like it came from there. But there you have it. There's more about my idea of building a horseless carriage automobile and stuff. You know, I'm really fascinated with those cars from that time period, from the late 1800s to the 1900s and stuff. You know, the early days of automobiling is what really more fascinates me and stuff. Yeah, again, it's thinking about all the challenges that these old boys back in the day had to face when it comes to actually making these cars and stuff, and trying to get it marketed out there is what fascinates me a lot and stuff. So hope y'all have a good day. Thank you for watching Boomhauer69's channel. Don't forget to share this video with everyone you know. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. You know, hit that like button if you liked it. Don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below. Comment your thoughts. You know, did you think this was good, bad, whatever? Comment your thoughts below. And again, thank you for watching Boomhauer69.